Good evening, everyone. Today we're going to talk about same-sex attraction in the church. In case you haven't seen it, each of you have a YouTube link of a talk given by Father Schmidt on this topic when he gave at Steubenville Conference a few years ago. It's a great discussion on a proper way to see this topic. I'd show it, but it's 42 minutes long, so a bit more than we could fit in our Life Night format tonight. But I'm going to steal a few concepts from that talk, but I really do recommend you watch his version because it's great and, he's great. So let's start with a few basic concepts. First of all, let's remember we're all called to be saints in everything we do in life. You're called to be a saint. I'm called to be a saint. We're all called to live a life that's in line with God's mission for us. This means a lot of things. But specific to the topic we'll discuss tonight, it means two things that I think are relevant. First, we're called to love all of the members of the body of Christ. And second, we are called to chastity. And when we're not married in the Catholic Church, we're called to celibacy. This means that we're called to not have sex if we're not married. This includes most people here because most of you aren't married. But it also includes our priests, bishops, and religious who have taken a vow of chastity. Anyone not married is called to live a celibate life. The reason it's not good for us to have sex before marriage is because sex is meant as a gift from God as part of the sacrament of marriage. So it's more than, sacraments are more than just agreements, right? It's more than a contract. Put very simply, we understand as Christians that God gave us the great blessing of sex as a way to draw married couples closer to each other and for them to have children. He made it pleasurable because he wants to encourage it. He wants couples to do it, to be close to each other, the unitive factor, and to have children, procreative. So let's move on a little bit to same-sex attraction. One thing to know about same-sex attraction in the church is that having experiences of attraction do not immediately indicate sin. As Catholics, we make the distinction between our inclinations, our desires, things we're drawn towards, and actions. We all experience emotions, deep emotions. These are our inclinations, but we have a choice of what to do with them. So, desiring something comes from our nature, but it also can be influenced by experience. For now, let's focus on nature. We may have many and varied things that we find beautiful and desirable, but just being predisposed to liking something doesn't constitute a sin. This is an important distinction again. As Catholics, we believe what we do matters. How you respond to a desire is what determines whether sin is present or whether something is good. I may find women, in fact, I find women beautiful. I notice beautiful men and women every time I go out. It's my nature. I love beauty. I love beautiful sunsets, beautiful moonlit nights, beautiful landscapes, and beautiful people, and especially women. That's my nature. If I pass by a woman and I notice she's attractive, that doesn't constitute sin. However, if I start to objectify her or move into thoughts about her which, let's say, wouldn't sit well with my wife, well, it's then that I've sinned. And certainly we can all agree that if I acted in an inappropriate way with a woman with whom I'm not married, well, that would be sinful, right? So it's actions and not inclinations which bring sin. But be aware, by action, I don't just mean physical action. It could be lingering too long on a thought that leads to lust or objectification. And if you seek things out which leads you to sin, to think about things in a lustful or objectifying way, like, say, searching for beautiful people on the internet, well, we can see the problems there, right? So what we have to deal with here is how we decide to act on our inclinations, feelings, or emotions. Again, as Catholics, we believe that God has given us free will to choose what is good, true, and beautiful. We're going to be frequently confronted in life with choices which lead us closer to God or those which lead us further from Him. With regard to sex, The first thing we need to accept is that we are called to chastity and saintliness. So first principle are these. Being inclined or desiring something is not innately sinful. What we do to act on those desires may or may not be. Sex is sacred. It's a sacred gift given by God for the sacrament of marriage for the purposes of either unitive purposes to draw couples closer together, or procreative purposes to have children. If we violate that gift of marriage, if we violate the nature of sex, it means we're violating a gift given by God. And this is why acting on same-sex attraction is problematic the way we see things as Catholics. It takes a gift given by God for this holy sacrament, and it uses it instead for our own purposes outside of that sacrament. On another level, and this you'll get from Father Schmitz's talk, there are different kinds of love. The ancient Greeks had like 7 or 8 different words for different forms of love. The Bible features 4 of them. Eros, romantic love between a man and his wife. Philia, brotherly love, one that feels between friends. So this could be, just between 2 friends. Agape, a love for all people, even enemies. Storge, which is love for family members, parents, grandparents, brothers, or sisters. So in our culture, it seems that all love, it's partly because we just have a very basic language for love. And, we say love is love. Well, love could be one love or 3 kinds of love or 4 kinds of love, right? So when we reduce love into just one thing, eros or romantic love, we do a disservice. If you love someone, well, our culture says, you must want to have sex with them. But eros or romantic love wasn't even considered by the Greeks as the highest form of love, and it's certainly the fastest to come and go. Here's something to think about. What if that same-sex attraction I'm feeling is really just filial love, like love of a friend? Love that in this culture, again, I contend we kind of try and cram into being eros. Why do we do that? I love my best friend, Dan. We've spent so much time together. We've had a lot of fun. We've laughed. We've fought. We grew up together, spent years, building a relationship. We challenge each other. I love him differently than I love anyone else on this planet. We're close. We do stuff together still to this day. We were best men at each other's weddings. Well, why can't our culture promote a love like ours, between 2 men, is something that's not romantic? So I would suggest asking, ourselves, if I feel attracted to someone of the same sex, could it be just one of the other forms of love felt in a strong way? It might just be a problem of our culture reducing all things into one. So why earlier, I'm going to switch gears. Why earlier did I talk about experiences also influencing our inclinations and desires along with nature? Well, sometimes reinforcing inclinations with behaviors can grow those inclinations to be stronger than they began. You might like playing video games. Well, the first time you played, it was probably fun and interesting, but you were still trying to figure things out and what was going on, how to play, what the rules were, etc. But if you played a lot, surely your skills would have gotten better and better, and your desire for playing it probably increased over time as well. So the thing about our brains is that when we form habits like playing video games, the habit itself begins to feed the desire, making you like and want it even more. And at the same time, it makes the satiation, or it can make the satiation of that desire harder and harder to obtain. It's why stopping the habit of playing video games is so hard for people, and why addiction has been known to crush people's lives. After years of reinforcing the habit of playing, they simply don't want to give it up. Well, the reason I bring this up are things like porn act in the exact same way. The first few clicks, you might start out just being curious about all kinds of different things. I mean, we hear about it all the time, right? So the first few clicks might just be to satisfy curiosity. This might be for heterosexual material, or it might be for same-sex material. When you're bombarded in our culture with all kinds of ideas like these, it's natural to be curious of what they're all about. The curiosity is natural, but it should be satisfied in wholesome ways, like talking to your parents, talking to a doctor, talking to a teacher in an appropriate setting, or a priest or a nun or core team member, someone who has your best interest in mind. The porn industry does not have your best interests in mind. And going down the road of looking at porn online can lead to addictions, which make the desire that starts out as a mild curiosity much, much stronger. And at the same time, like I said, it can make the satisfaction of that desire that's created from fulfilling the curiosity harder and harder to obtain, leading you to spend more and more time to satisfy it. And then you go down the rabbit hole of a never-ending internet, et cetera, et cetera. But that's how the cycle of addiction can start, and when it's related to sex or same-sex material, that habit-forming behavior can then lead to an identity creation. I'll get to that in a second, but let me give you an example. My sister-in-law is a runner. She ran every day for nearly 35 years. Almost nothing would stop her from running. Rain? No, she ran in the rain. She ran no matter what, every day. It soon became part of her persona. She didn't just run, she was a runner. It wasn't until she got bone cancer in her leg and had to have half of her femur removed and replaced with a titanium rod that she stopped running. Her doctor said, "It's over. You're not running anymore." Well, the habit she built and her desire for running was so strong, she's still intent on running. She's jogging today, despite her doctor's advice to, hey, don't mess up what I just did and spend a lot of time and effort creating here. So even against that good advice, she does it because she's a runner. It's who she is. So it's just an example of why you have to take really good care of the habits you create in life. Running's a good habit, but I'm saying create good habits. Really, really work to avoid bad habits in your life. You get to decide what you spend your time thinking about. If you dwell on sex, you'll be reinforcing an interest, something that shouldn't be part of your lives right now as teenagers. And remember why? Because you're called to chastity and a saintly life. So we should always be cognizant and thinking about what we're being fed. Is it of God? Social media, movies, shows, everything now seems to be pushing us to normalize and accept behaviors which we may know deep down are not healthy. That's our conscience talking to us, by the way. Obsession with sex in media is rather rampant. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But through that, the dignity we're supposed to show each other is diminished. Modesty is scorned and laughed at. I'll just warn you, seeing what I saw when I was your age affected me in negative ways for many, many years. And you know what? We don't have to watch it. We can remove the apps which are feeding us junk, and we should. So let's wrap this up. Let's end with another extremely important the point that I started out with that the church teaches. We know we are led by our culture to accept many things which are not good for us. It can be very confusing for someone who's feeling attracted to someone of the same sex when our culture seems to be pushing one explanation and one solution for this. We know that things are likely more complicated, and we're called to show love and care to help our friends deal with these questions in the healthiest way possible. God loves you, no matter what your attractions might be. If you're a girl attracted to guys, we, the church, love you. If you're a girl attracted to girls, we, the church, love you just the same. If you're a guy attracted to girls, we love you. If you're a guy attracted to guys, we, the church, love you. You are part of this church, and you are dearly loved. Now, let's go talk about all these ideas in small group and see where it leads. Thank you.